Hey, welcome to the Create a Life That Is Beautiful podcast. I'm your host, Leticia Ringe, and this is the space to be for high vibe people looking to create a beautiful life and business. Let's do this. Welcome back to the podcast, my beautiful friends. I'm Leticia Ringe, your coach, and hello from Sydney, Australia. Yes, before we start today's episode, I want to give you all a little bit of an update on where I am in the world right now. I have recently arrived back into my hometown in Sydney, Australia. I have been chasing winter all over the world over the past 6 months. So after being in London for 4.5 months and then moving to Lisbon, where it was really beautiful and sunny, I've now decided to come back to Sydney and enjoy a very beautiful and mild winter here. There are blue skies almost every day. The sun has been shining. It's actually so gorgeous to be in Sydney right now. So that's where I am. I'm finally on the time zone after a very difficult transition going from the other side of the world back to Sydney, and it just feels so delightful to be here. So for those of you who are listening who might also be Sydney-siders, make sure you reach out over on Instagram and say hello. I always love to talk to those of you who are in the same place as I am. I'm not sure at this stage how long I'll be here. I'm visiting all of my family and friends, doing all of my regular health appointments. So I'll be here for a couple of months, I'd say, and I would love to hear from those of you who are also in Sydney right now. And before I introduce today's topic, I want to remind those of you who are loving all of the content I've been sharing so far on conscious romantic relationships. I want to remind you all that I am right now offering one-to-one places in my conscious relationship coaching program. This program is for you if you are single or in a relationship. You might be deciding whether to leave a relationship right now. You might be going through an uncoupling, a breakup, a divorce, or a separation. You might be single and healing a broken heart after a recent breakup, or you might be stepping into dating or currently in the dating process and know that you want to meet an aligned partner and you want to make sure your point of attraction and capacity to see those who match what you actually want to create is also on point. Then the Conscious Relationship Coaching Program will support you with just that. It's also available for those of you who are entering into a new relationship. You might be just about to make a commitment with a sweet and special person, or you might have recently made a commitment and you want to make sure that you set yourselves up for success. Or you might already be in a relationship, perhaps it's been a short time or a long time, and you want to step into the next volume of that romantic relationship and set both you and your partner up for a thriving, conscious romantic relationship that supports both of your purpose and potential and allows both of you to truly thrive across your life as a whole. This is what the Conscious Relationship Coaching Program, as well as all of our episodes on this podcast about conscious relationships, are supporting you to do. So if you're in a relationship, I also have the option of working with both you and your partner in the Conscious Relationship Coaching Program. And if you're interested in learning more about that, all you need to do is head over to leticiaringe.com/coaching. If you like what I share on that page, click apply and submit an application. And if I think that you seem like a great fit, I will invite you to a first free coaching call with me so that I can support you to get really clear on what it is you're desiring in your relationship and exactly what you need to focus your attention on in order to create that. These calls are so transformational. My clients are walking away in awe of what they discover just from this session. And it's a really important way to start the process because it allows you to have an experience of coaching with me so that you can then decide from that experience if coaching for the full program is something that you want to prioritize right now. And I will let you know at the end of the session whether I can support you with the goals that you and I discuss in our session.
So again, if you'd like to take advantage of that, head to leticiaringe.com/coaching. Now, in today's episode, we are talking about another conscious relationship coaching principle that I have created, which I believe is fundamental to creating the thriving conscious relationships we desire that give us the deep level of connection, of intimacy, and of love that we're all craving. And that principle is moving with intention. You might have noticed in all of the episodes I've shared so far on the subject of conscious relationships that every single episode is helping you to be more intentional about the way you approach the subject that we're speaking to. Whether it's the phase of the conscious relationship cycle you're in right now, or whether it's about a conversation you're having with your partner or a particular aspect of your relationship that you want to evolve, grow, and develop. Every single transformation, change, or goal that you desire within your romantic life requires you to be intentional. And so because this intention is so important, because moving with intention is what allows you to create what you desire, because this is so important, it is also the number one challenge that we all have to getting what we want. When I meet with my clients in the Conscious Relationship Coaching Program, most of the time my clients tell me they are not sure of what they really desire. And the reason for this is we get so much pressure to get it right. And this pressure to get it right, of course, comes from ourselves because we think I've got to get it perfect. Otherwise, I'm going to create something that isn't going to be totally right and then I will have failed. But what the more damaging situation is actually where you don't have any intentions. Because once you set an intention and then you use that intention to move you forward and make daily decisions, does this align with my intention or not? You get immediate feedback from what you're creating. That tells you whether the intention you have is right or not. But in the absence of intention, you don't get that feedback. Instead, you're stuck spinning in circles and feeling confused and feeling overwhelmed, and then therefore not moving forward. When I used to do my holistic business coaching, we saw this all the time. When we spoke about intentions, we were really talking about a person's strategy for their business. And so many people didn't choose a strategy because they were afraid it would not be the right one. And what I had to educate my clients on was the fact that having a strategy was what was important, deciding on something so that they could move forward and then get the information they needed through experience as to whether that was the right strategy after all. But without deciding on something, they had nothing and therefore they couldn't get the answers that they want. So it's the same concept with intention. Intention is so powerful because what we're all doing, whether we're setting intentions or not, is we are responsible for everything we're creating. So if you're experiencing things you don't want to experience within your romantic life, it's because on some level you are creating that. It could be you're consciously doing it. It could be you're unconsciously doing it. It could be because you're stuck in a vibrational state that is actually reflecting the lack of what you are wanting to have. So you're focused on the lack and then therefore you create more of that lack, because that's how manifestation works. It's always matching what we're experiencing, what we're feeling, what we're thinking, and what we're acting upon right now. And that's why it's so important for all of us to understand how our body, how our mind, and how our inner voice all affect our manifestations, and therefore what we're experiencing within our life as a whole and within your romantic relationship. So moving with intention is vital to a conscious relationship. In fact, what makes your relationship conscious and the way you approach it is because you're giving yourself the time and space to set these intentions. When you need to set an intention, it requires you to reflect, doesn't it? It requires you to ask yourself, well, what's the intention behind what I'm doing here? Why am I doing this thing here? Why am I with this person? Why do I actually want to be with this person? These are questions that most of us haven't asked. And what is so interesting is that in the context of a romantic relationship, where that person will be the number one person you spend your time with, and therefore they will be part of your environment that is influencing your life and what you're creating, we're not intentional about that relationship. We just go with the flow. We think, well, we fell in love. Isn't that enough? And as we can see with the many examples of relationships over time, while the honeymoon phase is a beautiful phase full of lots of oxytocin, we concentrate on our partner's positive qualities that feel familiar, usually to our parents. We love it. And then at some point, the oxytocin starts to wear off. We get used to our partner and suddenly it shifts and we start seeing their negative qualities, which also usually remind us of our parents in some way. We actually attract that particular person because they are familiar to the environment we grew up in, i.e. our parents and caretakers as a child. And then our partner becomes our main environment and we match the environment we came from, even when we know that we actually don't want to create that environment. All of this is manifestation. And it's because your old brain, the primal part of your brain, is responsible for picking your partners. And so it's not differentiating between what's good for you and what's not good for you. It's actually selecting people who remind you of the past. This is why having consciousness is so important, and being able to review the patterns that are showing up in your relationships and then learning how to effectively manage those patterns, because you're inevitably going to choose people who provoke them anyway, is so important. And that requires time and effort, and that's what consciousness requires as well. So a lot of us avoid doing the work because we say, oh, I need to focus on all the other goals in my life, all the other areas. I don't have time to do it within my romantic life. But we forget that this person is literally affecting, and your relationship with that person is affecting all other areas in your life. And so actually applying consciousness to your romantic relationships is a form of insurance policy. It is what allows you to set yourself up for success with a thriving environment and foundation and partnership to support you to thrive in all other areas of your life. So, moving with intention is the same concept. When you take the time and space to get conscious and make a decision about what you are trying to create here, whether it's the relationship as a whole, whether it's the phase of the relationship cycle you're in right now, whether it's a conversation you're having with your partner, putting intention behind all of that will allow you to consciously create what you actually want. It will shift your point of attraction. It will put you into conscious manifestation, and it will be the very thing that sets you up to create the thriving romantic relationship you desire and to stop settling for less than you desire. So in today's episode, I'm going to support you to do just that. I'm going to talk about 5 tips to support you in setting intentions, because we seem to make them very, very difficult, and they don't need to be. And we also don't need to put so much pressure on getting those intentions right. And then at the end of the episode, I'm going to give you an exercise so that you can start setting an intention today for your romantic life, no matter what phase of the cycle you're in, no matter whether you're in a relationship or you're single right now. This will start to move you towards what you actually want to create. And for those of you who feel like you want more support with getting intentional, that is exactly what my conscious relationship coaching program is for. And through the first session that I do with my clients, the one that is free in the first part of the process, that will give you everything you need to set intentions. So if you haven't yet submitted your application, I recommend you do it right now while I still have have the capacity to offer these calls to all people I see as a fit for the program. All right, now let's dive in. So the 5 tips to support you with your intentions are the following. Number 1, think about intentions as decisions. Decisions are what move you forward. It's not about making the right decision. It is about making a decision. You can also think of intentions as choices. And again, it's not about making the right choice. It's about making a choice at all. The reason for this, once again, is because when you make a decision or when you make a choice, you're committing to something. This gives you everything you need to move forward. So it's not about making the right decision or the right choice. It's just about making something. Making a decision and making a choice. So the way that you approach setting intentions for your relationship is to simply pick one and use the information that you have right now about what you want to create to set that intention. Set it and then use that to move forward. Number 2, intentions allow you to focus on something specific. The reason this is important is because right now, there are billions of pieces of information in front of you. Your brain only has the capacity to consciously be aware of some of those pieces of information. So the way that we notice the information that is right for us, that will help us to move towards what we want, is by focusing on what we want. This is the role an intention plays. It allows your brain to be primed to look for opportunities that will support you to move closer to what you want. Your brain unconsciously does this so that then the unconscious brings that particular opportunity into your conscious awareness. So you want to make sure that you have something to focus on, and when you're being unconscious or you don't have an intention, you then generally tend to focus on evidence of what you don't have. So you'll see opportunities to create more of what you don't actually want to experience. This again is because of the way your old brain, the primal part of your brain, works. It focuses on recreating the past, recreating the familiar, recreating whatever you're thinking about. And so when your brain is primed to look for all the reasons why you can't change your circumstances, it will simply look for more opportunities to confirm that. So setting an intention that is aligned with what you actually want to create will allow you to start seeing opportunities to move towards that. Number 3, intentions can be words, they can be phrases, they can be approaches, they can be feelings, they can be values, they can be commitments, or even outcomes. I think that we all tend to overthink what an intention is. There's a lot of talk about the difference between intentions and goals, and I say it doesn't matter. Just pick something to focus on. So it could be a word like connection or love. It could be a phrase like create connection. It could be an approach. Maybe it's conscious or intentional, or I want to have a heart-based approach. Maybe it's a feeling like connected or loving or compassionate. Maybe it's a commitment to show up with respect, or maybe it's even an outcome like I mentioned earlier, which could be I want to create a thriving romantic relationship, or I want to be married. All of these words give your mind something to focus on. They are all decisions which allow you to move closer to that very thing you're getting your brain to focus on. Number 4, your intentions don't need to be perfect or right. They just need to be something that is meaningful to you. So you always want them to reflect something you actually want to create and experience. Now, personally, I find it really helpful to start setting intentions that are simply based on one word and it's a feeling that you want to create. The easiest way to do this is to fast forward to the end of the phase you're in right now and think about how you want to feel at the end of that phase. So if you're deciding to leave a relationship, maybe you want to feel satisfied with your decision. If you're going through an uncoupling right now, perhaps you want to feel grateful to your partner who you're uncoupling with, and grateful for the opportunity to enter into a new identity, life, and even a relationship for yourself. If you're currently healing a broken heart, perhaps you want to feel peace. If you are dating right now, perhaps you want to feel excited. If you're entering into a new relationship right now or elevating a current relationship, perhaps when you think about being at the end of that relationship and looking back, you also want to feel satisfied, or you want to feel like you're truly thriving. These words are all so powerful because they help you to make decisions that are in support of creating more of that particular emotion. They help you decide which stories and beliefs and opinions to tell yourself and to focus on. They help you decide which actions and behaviors will support those. They also are an opportunity for co-creation with the person in front of you. If you know that you're going to have a conversation with someone and you want to feel connected through that conversation, and at the end of the conversation you want to feel connected, then the way you approach that conversation is going to be totally different than if your focus is simply on being right. You probably want to create more connection generally, but most of us approach conversations with a partner with wanting to convince, wanting to prove our position, and then they lead to more disconnection. So creating connection, for instance, as a feeling would be a really great one to use if you're thinking about a conversation with a partner, or even the way that you want to feel through your relationship generally. Point number 5 is you can set intentions right now, no matter where you're at in your relationship. And you can also set intentions for different aspects of the relationship. So like I've mentioned, it could be about the relationship as a whole. It could be phase specific, like the 6 phases I've just taken you through. It could be setting intentions for marriage, for moving in together, for a renewal ceremony that you're going to do with your partner. Or it could be, like I mentioned, for a conversation. It could be for an experience you're having with your partner, a project you're working on together. It could be for a container that you're creating. And a quick word about that word container. This is actually a really important part of masculine energy. When we're talking about creating polarity in a relationship, the person who's holding the masculine energy pole of the relationship, in order to create a container, you can easily create a container for both you and your partner to have an experience by setting intentions and moving with intention. So intentions also give something that might not have any form or boundaries. It gives boundaries, it gives it a container, it gives it a structure. So it's also a form of masculine energy, although typically the way we think about intentions is in a more feminine energy way, and that's because often they're connected with how we want to feel. So with all of those 5 tips, I now want to give you an exercise that you can all use right now, no matter what phase you're in right now of the relationship cycle, to start moving you towards what you want to create. So think about the phase you're in right now and ask yourself how you want to feel at the end of that phase. Set an intention to guide you through that phase based on this feeling. Remember, it could simply be one word and it could be the way you want to feel. Or if you'd like to create a statement out of it, you can do that too. Be as creative as you like. Then use that word or phrase to inform your day-to-day decisions. Will this particular action, or will this particular opportunity, or will this particular story I'm telling myself right now lead me to creating more of that particular feeling? If it's a yes, then go for it. If it's a no, then that's just a distraction, and say no and don't waste your time on it. This is great because it's going to help you to move towards what you actually want to create without needing to have a partner on board or to even be with a partner right now. And the second part of this exercise is then to ask yourself, how am I already embodying this intention? This is a beautiful question because it will allow you to see where you're already embodying the feeling that you've said and also where you're not. So it's going to show you the opportunities for growth here, the opportunity for realignment. And just by doing this work, just by setting the intention, just by focusing on that intention, just by choosing day to day the opportunities that align with that intention, that is going to have you creating the conscious, thriving romantic relationship that you truly desire. All right, my beautiful friends, as I mentioned earlier, if you know that you want support in setting intentions that are super powerful for you and your relationship, no matter where you're at in the romantic cycle right now, no matter whether you're in a couple or you are single right now, I invite you to check out my Conscious Relationship Coaching Program. You can find all the details at leticiaringe.com/coaching. And again, right now I'm offering a first free 1-hour coaching call session for those of you who apply, who are the right fit for the program. So all you need to do is throw your hat in the ring, and the application is really straightforward. It's very simple to fill in, and then I'm able to easily assess whether I can support you based on that. And then we get together and I can support you to move forward and get intentional. All right, my beautiful friends, I'll see you in our next episode. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to the Create a Life That Is Beautiful podcast. I'm your host, Leticia Ringe, and I appreciate you so much. If you would like support one-to-one as you up-level your life, business, or relationships in a conscious, intentional, and love-focused way, then head to leticiaringe.com/coaching. I'll see you in the next episode. Goodbye.